Hi guys, this is a message to British journalists and politicians. Sit down, listen and learn, because this is exactly how you deal with Nigel Farage. So the Reform UK leader, of course, was not in Parliament on Wednesday. He was in the United States selling the idea that he's a hero of freedom of expression. But Jimmy Raskin, a US congressman, called him out in a perfect way. Have a listen.
Of free speech, but they only want to protect speech they agree with. In the UK, Mr. Farage is openly promoting the abolition of the Human Rights Act of 1998 to be replaced with a British Bill of Rights that limits the right of free speech to British citizens and legally sanctioned residents. He complains that racist threats against immigrants are not protected free speech, while he proposes to strip migrants, tourists, and perhaps even visiting American congresspeople of any free speech rights at all. I had my own close encounter with that when Mr. Farage and his team presented for more than an hour in a conversation we had about free speech. And after 3 minutes of talking, he cut me off and terminated the meeting because he didn't like what I was saying. That's the kind of free speech he's committed to. There is a free speech crisis in America today, but there's no free speech crisis in Britain. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer has not shut down GB News, where Mr. Farage has his own show, just because Mr. Farage has used his airtime to call for banning peaceful protests that he disagrees with. No one has stopped him from going on Russian TV 17 times and saying also and repeating that the one world political leader he most admired was Vladimir Putin, even though Vladimir Putin is a war criminal and a dictator who has regularly interfered in other countries' democratic elections. No one has stopped Mr. Farage from parroting Putin's absurd talking points, like when Farage claimed that NATO, the US and Britain, provoked this war in Ukraine. For a man who fashions himself as some kind of a free speech martyr, Mr. Farage seems most at home with the autocrats and dictators of the world who are crushing freedom on earth. Mr. Farage wants to get rid of the Online Safety Act in his country, a law shepherded by the Conservative Party and implemented by the Labour Party, which bans child pornography online, protects children from harmful content, forbids non-consensual pornography and other unlawful content. He should go and advance the positions he's taking here in Congress today in Parliament, which is meeting today, if he's serious about it. To the people of UK who think this Putin-loving free speech imposter and Trump sycophant will protect freedom in your country, come on over to America and see what Trump and MAGA are doing to destroy our freedom, kidnap college students off the street, ban books from our libraries, militarize our police and unleash them against our communities, take over our universities, wreck our professional civil service, and turn the government into a money-making machine for Trump and his family. You might think twice before you let Mr. Farage make Britain great again.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. The only thing I could add to this is it's not so much about the Human Rights Act the Human Rights Act being replaced by a Bill of Rights. It's the protections. These are the most important thing. It's the protections that Farage wants to strip away. Not so much the rights. He doesn't care about the rights. Rights are worth nothing unless they have protections back in them. And this is why Farage wants to leave the European Convention on Human Rights. In the same way as this guy campaigned for Brexit, which is about stripping away protections for workers, for the environment, for consumers. That's what Brexit was about. And this is what it's about when it comes to the ECHR. Let's get out of that so we can strip away protections for ordinary people. Because and it has to be sold as no, we're going after the rights of immigrants. We don't want to touch the rights of British people. Don't worry, we'll protect your rights with a British Bill of Rights. But what happens if Nigel Farage's government doesn't respect human rights? Where do you go then? You can't go to the ECHR because, well, Farage has pulled the UK out of it. Let's hope that never happens. And this message, right on the money. Where are British journalists? Why aren't they listening to this and using the same language against this guy? Instead, when he's invited on their shows, they tickle his belly. They throw a few softball questions at him. Nick Ferrari is a disgrace and an embarrassment, supposed to be a journalist, and treats Nigel Farage like a friend. Like somebody you have over for dinner, that you'd like to have back again. So you treat them like with a huge amount of respect. You don't want to make them feel uncomfortable. That's not what journalism is about. Why is it? It's so ironic that Irish journalists are holding Nigel Farage to account to a higher standard than many British journalists, and there are a few exceptions, Victoria Derbyshire and some others, but they're very much in the minority. And US politicians, when British politicians should be going like the hammers of hell at Nigel Farage over his record, over what he's planning to do. But everyone's afraid of him. Why? Why are they afraid of him? Is it because they feel, as a journalist, they might have their career damaged because they're afraid that maybe he'll be Prime Minister one day and I want to still have the chance to interview him? Is it politicians wanting to pander to him and his base, thinking if we treat him with respect, we can win over some of his supporters? It's not going to work. You need to call him out. And as Jamie had said, Congressman Jamie said here, if you don't stop Farage, you're going to have exactly the same crap that America is going through with Donald Trump. And Farage wants to copy and paste as much as possible of Trump and MAGA into the UK as possible. He's trying to do it. The language, the culture wars, the shenanigans. He's even selling T-shirts with his name on it and Reform UK logo on it, like Trump is selling hats and all this other merchandise. Farage has seen the success of MAGA and how it's built on ignorance and grift. And he's saying, I want to do exactly the same thing in the UK. He's mentioned how he wants to have an administration without politicians. I said, in some ways, that can be a positive thing. But under a Reform UK government, of course, it would be filled with sycophants and donors and celebrities and media people like Trump is doing. You know, you would get a job in the administration based on loyalty, not on merit. And this needs to be called out. And why is it that a US politician is doing a better job than a British politician when it comes to challenging Farage? Why is it foreign journalists are holding Nigel Farage's feet to the fire better than British journalists? The foreign journalists have nothing to lose. American politicians have nothing to gain by calling out Nigel Farage. But British journalists have everything to lose. British politicians have everything to lose if they allow this guy into number 10. They should be treating him in a more aggressive way than the foreigners should be. But unfortunately, everyone's afraid of this guy. People need to grow a pair and stand up to him. Otherwise, he's going to march into number 10 and the journalists and politicians will be asking the question, how did this happen? Then it's too late. Then he will be in there. Then he will be dismantling the state. He will be cutting public services that are necessary for the poorest people in society. He'll be convincing people to vote against their own interests once again. He'll be telling people, you know, I'm on your side, as he's cutting services for them. And of course, blaming immigrants or blaming the blob or blaming the media or blaming the European Union or blaming foreigners or blaming the opposition parties or blaming whoever. This guy needs to be stopped. I don't think it's too late, but it requires a concerted effort. Because as we've seen in the United States, Donald Trump is a wrecking ball, but not in a positive way. He's filling his pockets at the expense of everyone else. And Nigel Farage wants to do exactly the same thing. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think, and I'll see you in the next video.